There are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
So she's going to be joining us in just a few minutes by phone. And we have Brian Patton, and he has a great book out called I need my producer because I see I didn't put The Sexy Vegan, right. And Debbi Dachinger is with us as well. And I have her book title too, and I see that I didn't put it in my notes, but it is... let's see. I want to get the Sexy Vegan's Happy Hour at Home. That's Brian Patton's book. Sorry for being so disorganized. And Debbi's book is The Surefire Secrets to Accomplish All Your Goals. A Wisdom to Success. The Surefire Secrets to Accomplish All Your Goals. So, welcome to the Book Beat. This is a show where we really encourage you to find a good book to read. And if you can't find one, then start to think about writing one yourself. Write the book that you would like to read. So I want to just talk for a minute before we bring Ellen on, just about for writers who are listening, and for those of you who want to start writing online stories for websites or for magazines, for print magazines, if you remember what those are. I want to talk about rights for the moment, and how do you know what rights to sell? And this came up for me a few months ago because I had a story about Annette Funicello that I had done years ago for Woman's World magazine when she was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it recently just came out a few days ago again. And the reason that I was able to have what I felt was a much better version of that story come out again, a much fuller version, was because obviously the first time that it came out in Woman's World magazine, I sold what writers do and what you should do if you're writing for online or print publications. You always sell the first North American serial rights. And editors know that. I mean, that's usually what they are going to expect. And in most cases, you'll get a contract, but if you don't, you can make up your own contract that just specifies that what you're selling is first North American serial rights. And what that means is that the publication that is going to publish your story has the option to publish it first before anybody else. But there's a limited time period on it. And usually it's about 30 days. And sometimes there'll be little things in the contract, like for a magazine, it might say, well, and also an additional, say, 30 days when it goes off the newsstands. And then after that, the rights revert back to you. So the thing you want to be really careful of is avoid, if at all possible, selling all rights or world rights, and make sure that you do get that clear, because when the rights revert back to you after you've sold the first North American serial rights, then you can sell it again and again and again with unlimited reprint possibilities. So just always make sure, just a tip to know. And if they don't send you a contract, you might casually mention, can I send you out my standard contract, and specify it there that that's what they're buying. And with the copyright law, one thing that a lot of people don't know is you own the rights. The minute that you finish the piece or are writing the piece, you have the rights. What you're selling is not really the rights to the story. You're selling the rights for them to use the story or publish the story. So you actually do own the rights. Nobody can ever take those away from you. But what they can take away is your right to have it published in a different form. So that's the thing that you really want to hold on to. So that kind of leads us into Ellen. Are you there, Ellen? Can you see?
I'm here.
Oh, good. I can hear you loud and clear. So
good.
Yeah. So I know you know probably all about rights. Oh, and let me just hold this up. I meant to hold this up. So this was the first story in Woman's World magazine. As you can see, it was one page about Annette Funicello. And then in Film Facts magazine, what I really like is now there's a 6-page story. And I just wanted to show you that because this was the complete interview that never really got published in Woman's World about when she was diagnosed with MS and how she felt about it. And it was a very, very long story, and we had to break it down to 1 page. So I was glad that I had made sure I'd sold first North American serial rights. So sorry about that, Ellen. So you were the first ebook coach sort of on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And how did you get into that? Like, how did you see, did you know at that time that ebooks were going to be so, take off the way they have?
Well, that was before Kindle, so, before e-readers. But to me, it wasn't that I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to come out with this technology that's going to bust us wide open. But I was certainly thinking that I didn't see how they could go away since the internet, was growing, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, just for me personally, having come from the music world as being a Grammy-nominated songwriter and winning lots of awards and still not making very much money and struggling, I just loved the idea that I could get directly to the audience and I didn't have to go through gatekeepers and do book proposals and go through the whole rejection thing all over again because I've been doing that for 20 years in music.
Well, that was amazing. Yeah, you were nominated for a Grammy. I saw that in your background, and that's What song was that for? Do you?
It's called "I Could Get Used to This," and it was recorded by a Grammy-winning artist, Diane Scher, who's a jazz artist, but it was an R&B song.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just love the idea of being able to go directly to your audience and, being able to get immediate feedback and be able to connect with them personally. Because the whole thing about, music and books and movies and anything that's artistic, there's so much money to be made in it that there's a lot of stuff that goes into it on the inside, and people don't a lot of times want to give it to the best song or the best movie. They want to keep it inside. There's a lot of nepotism. There's all that kind of stuff. And when I got the Grammy nomination, I had the right connections. My publishers, her husband was managed by the same company as the producer, and it came down to 2 songs, and we got it. It was the only time that the stars aligned for me. And so I thought, if it's this hard to get the stars to align, I want better odds.
And that was really, you were really a visionary for that time because the gatekeepers, in publishing are really losing their power now, but you saw that back then, right?
Yes. Yeah. I saw that I didn't need them and I didn't want to need them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you think everybody these days should just write an ebook? Is that sort of the best way to go? And do you need print versions anymore, or what?
I think everybody needs to write ebooks. I mean, first of all, I was just reading an article where somebody was saying that, books and ebooks, however you want to say it, a lot of it now is interchangeable. But, in the beginning days when I was starting, it was like ebooks were the lowly cousin of the book. And now, because of e-readers, for every 100 books sold, 105 Kindle ebooks are sold.
Wow.
So, so the whole thing has completely changed in that sense. And so, I think people need to have both. I think, too many people have Kindles or e-readers, people who travel, and people who buy Kindles. Something like 44% of them make over $80,000 a year, and they're teaching their kids to use them. And so I think in another generation, it's going to be pretty much the way things go. It doesn't mean you won't be able to find a book, but it'll be more like an LP. It'll be, there won't be a lot of them around, and they'll be worth more money. But I think for most people, to lug around books doesn't make sense anymore, and also environmentally. The reason you do want books, though, is, if you're doing speaking and you want to sell and you want something right there in the back of the room, then you want to have books, but you can do that with publishing on demand.
That's true.
And and also, Kindle versus books. I mean, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching calls with people where we look at the differences between how many books versus how many Kindle books are being sold in a certain niche. And there's still a lot less competition in most areas in Kindle. So that's another really good reason for people to still do a Kindle book right now, because there's going to be less competition for them to make more sales and get noticed, and then move into, doing the book, later.
Well, that whole thing is,
So,
I know that's what confuses a lot of authors, because, I a lot of times I'll coach people, right up to the point when they're doing their book where they, are going to get published. And then it's like, then and I want to know exactly how you walk them through all of this, because it gets very confusing, because a lot of times they'll go like, well, what about Smashwords? I can get everything on there. And then do I need a Kindle version? And how do you look at that? What's your best advice?
Well, I personally think that at this point in time, and again, things are always changing, as one way of doing something gets saturated, then something else pops up, But I still think that doing Kindle ebook launches right now is a really good way to go to get started, because, first of all, it's free, and you can be up and published in less than 48 hours, with the press of a button. And you can use something that they have called KDP, and you can give it away for free. And this is counterintuitive, but people can make a lot of money giving it away for free for a couple of reasons. One is that after the 2 days, people then have to buy it, and a lot of people will not see it in time, and they'll still buy it because it's such a low cost. And also, when they give it away for free, the reason that they do that is because it's part of the Amazon membership lending library. And what they do is they have a pot, and for that month that you're in there, or 3 months that you're in there, because actually you have to leave it in for 3 months, then what happens is you get a piece of that pie. And I've seen people make, the ones that do well can make $6,000 to $8,000 in those months, giving it away for free.
Wow.
So, well, I mean, that's not, that's decent.
So these are the little kind of secrets, that most people don't. And is that part of your coaching, like to kind of steer them through that?
Oh, definitely. But also, Kindle, Amazon gets about 60% of the traffic at this point. iBookstore gets about 20%, and it's growing. So if you, put your book in Kindle for the 3 months exclusive, and then you put it into iBookstore, you're getting 80% of the traffic, okay, in those two places.
Wow.
And then if you want to do Smashwords, or you want to, put them on individual sites, sure, go ahead and do that. I mean, the more visibility you get, the more books you're going to sell. I mean, it's that simple,
Mm-hmm.
And people who decide to get on my list and come in and start learning with me, I mean, because this is what I do. I mean, I have lists of places where people can sell them and all that. But to get started, Kindle is still the number one place.
Uh-huh. And what's the biggest mistake that you think people make when they write an ebook?
I think the biggest mistake that people make, unfortunately, and this still happens way too often, I would like to get to the point where this never gets done, never is a mistake, is I have a lot of people who come to me and they've gone to other book coaches before me. And what they do is they focus on writing the book without laying the foundation. And one of the reasons that I loved the idea of ebooks and becoming an ebook coach and writing ebooks as opposed to writing books in the first place was, as I said, I didn't need gatekeepers, and I could get directly to my audience. So what that means is that you can do the research and find out exactly what your audience wants, exactly what keywords and phrases they're looking up, exactly what's selling in Kindle and what isn't, what are the best categories, what are the best keywords to use. I mean, you can do all this before you write a single word. And when you do that, then you've got a pretty good idea whether your book is going to be successful. But what so many people do is they write the book and then they come to me and say, what do you think? And I think, oh, no, now we got to go do the research and engineer it backwards. And a lot of times it has to be redone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've also had people come to me where I say, well, why did you go to that other coach first? And go, because they were cheaper. And I go, well, you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a way to do this that is very easy, that is, step by step, that's systematic, and that it's going to tell you and give you the information that you need to know whether it's worth writing.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is everybody's dream. I mean, the thing is, and you say this, in some of your materials, that you can I know you don't mean this about everybody, but you can make a six-figure income kind of without having a job, right? If you have a really successful ebook or series of ebooks,
absolutely, right? Absolutely. But the way that people make and I have clients who are making seven-figure incomes too.
Huh.
But the people who do that understand that it's not from writing one ebook. Okay, the way that you become successful is by writing your ebooks and then creating other products and teaching people how to consume that information. And basically what you do is you can build funnels, and then the closer, the more people get access to you, the more they pay. And then, of course, the big money is generally either in building huge affiliate networks or joint venture networks where you work with other people with huge lists, or finding other really big groups, and then having coaching programs where you can charge. I mean, there are people who charge, $5,000 to $100,000 just for coaching.
Huh.
So it depends on your subject. It has to be nonfiction for this to work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet also in fiction there are people making a fortune just from writing novels. So, I mean, it depends which way you're trying to go. I focus on the nonfiction and teaching people then how to create funnels that make sense, because when I started I had a product here and a product there, and it was a mess, and I was all over the place because I didn't really see anybody creating systems for authors.
So that's what you've done is kind of, well, give me an example, like how would you link a product to an ebook?
Well, for instance, I have an ebook that's actually going to be coming out on Kindle very shortly. I've only given it till now as a bonus to something I did. But it's called, How to Make Money Writing Quick Nonfiction Ebooks. So I can take that ebook. Actually, what I did, the way I actually wrote that ebook was I gave a webinar, and then I wrote the ebook from the webinar. You can do it either way. You can write the ebook and then create a webinar. You can create a webinar and then create an ebook. But you can create other pieces from it. You can create, transcripts and audios and mind maps and videos and a coaching program. Actually, a better example for that one is I have another book called The One eBook Solution. And that book is The One eBook Solution, the 12 Secrets to Turning a Single eBook into a six-figure income. And basically what I do is I take each chapter and I turn that into a module, and I turn that into a coaching program, a group coaching program that I did live for $14.97. And then I turned it into a home study program that sells for $997.
Huh.
And then I also give that to my individual coaching clients. And
so the ebook is like the gateway kind of then into these other.
Exactly. It created the blueprint that I could create all the other things from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can create a coaching program just right from your table of contents if you do it the right way.
I see. Yeah.
And then it's worth a lot of money. Huh?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So the ebook becomes like a portal or a gateway that allows you to enter somebody's world. If they're an expert in something, they can kind of build around the ebook, right?
Right.
And a bunch of products.
Yeah.
We only have a minute left or so, but you said that you're not really a techie and that you don't have to be a techie to really get into this.
No, I am not. Yeah.
And really, because that's what kind of stops a lot of people,
Well, one thing is, first of all, the technology has changed a lot from when I first started. I mean, when I started, I remember the first year I was in business, I made about $40,000 my first year, and 90% of that went to paying other people, my vendors, because I didn't know how to do anything, okay? But what's happened over time is that, first of all, I mean, we didn't have WordPress, we didn't have blogs, we didn't have a lot of things that we have now. We didn't have social media. It's a lot easier now in some ways. And it's also a lot harder because if people don't have a system, then they're all over the place because there's so much they could do. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that there are some easy ways to do things that I teach people to just make things a lot easier. I mean, just things like, how to create a WordPress blog with just a click of a button. Mm-hmm. How to create beautiful opt-in pages and landing pages very easy using the right themes for WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what hosting company you use.
So the technology, it has gotten a lot easier, hasn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot easier. And, of course, as you go and you learn certain things, you just decide, A, is this too hard for me? Do I need other people to do it? And there are all kinds of things you can use. There's Fiverr.com. For $5, you can get people to do all kinds of things.
Right.
There's TaskRabbit.com. And then there's the perennials. Elamps and Guru.com
Right.
and Workaholics for Hiring, Odesk. There's lots of places you can go to get
help. So this is a good reason for people to get in touch with you for coaching. How can they do that?
The best way is to go to www.coach.com, and they can opt into my list there, or they can go to my blog and read more and see more stuff there, and that's the ebookcoach.com/blog.
Okay.
So either one.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This has really been great. I've been aware of your work for a long time and have wanted to talk to you, so this is really valuable for everybody who's going to see this.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So stay tuned. We have Brian Patton coming up. He is known as the Sexy Vegan, and he's written the Sexy Vegan's Happy Hour at Home. I apologize for not having that title before. And he started creating happy hours for his friends at home so they could kind of chill out, and for his wife after she'd had a hard work week. And he became a YouTube sensation, and the rest is history. So this is the Book Beat. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Hello, this is Angela DeJoseph. Join me Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific for the Angela DeJoseph Show. Join me as we venture into health, wealth. We're going to give you news, interviews, and entertainment. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, TiVo Radio, and now live on Facebook. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
I thank my producer Susan Levin right at the top here, because without her this show would just not exist and we couldn't do it. So thank you, Susan. When I do things like forget the titles of books, you're right there. Yeah, thank you so much. And that bumper music is by my brother, Rick Fleischman. And thank you to Rick, too. So we have Brian Patton in the studio. Hi. So, you're unusual because you're with a mainstream publisher.
Yeah.
New World Library.
That's right.
Most of the people on this show are self-published.
Oh.
So.
Well, I was considering actually cutting this interview short and going home and making like 12 ebooks.
I was wondering how you would feel about that.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm just going to go do that now.
Yeah, but we won't tell the folks up at...
We will not tell them.
No, they didn't.
Don't
don't
show
Kim
them. Or Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were kind of discovered by New World
That's
Library, right? What happened?
Well, I had, several years ago, I had started just doing these sort of silly cooking show parodies, basically. I had become vegan. I was newly vegan, and I thought, somebody showed me what YouTube was, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. I can do what?
Yeah.
So I started making I made one video. I thought, my friends on the East Coast will see it. They'll get a laugh. That'll be it. And it started to sort of get a bigger following. And then I had like, a blog, or not a blog, but like MySpace page, Facebook, and all this. And eventually I got contacted by the editor at New World Library saying, hey, we saw your videos. Do you want to write a cookbook?
Wow.
And well, first I had to research and make sure that this was a real person from a real place,
Right.
not one of my idiot friends messing with me,
Right.
which would not
that
have been the first
doesn't
time.
happen very often.
Yeah, and I wasn't out there looking to write a
Right.
book. I mean, I figured if I was going to ever do one, it would be self-published, at least the first one.
Were you getting a lot of views on YouTube or
It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like
300 million?
no, it wasn't like Gangnam Style or anything like that. It was moderate. It was a slow build, and I kind of liked that because I thought, well, if you're gonna hang around for a little while, you don't want to have that one hit and then you're
Right.
gone. So I thought it was good that I was getting sort of moderate amount of views, not a crazy millions,
Right.
because that might all end too quickly. So I was just slowly building like a fan base that was sturdy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And eventually then I got
But it wasn't like the
contacted.
huge platform, and then they just saw you, right?
Yeah,
And
that
contacted-
one of the Amy who works there, she was looking for a vegan recipe and she saw one of my videos. And then she just started clicking on all the rest of my videos, and she had watched 20 videos, and the next day or whatever she went in and said, "Look at this guy. Maybe we should work with him."
Wow.
And that was it. Yeah.
And it's an example of a really good publisher, New World Library, kind of
They
just everything.
found a gem in the dirt.
You did.
Yes. Yes, they're very good.
They really are. I know a little bit about the company, and they're kind of like you wish publishing houses would be.
I can't, obviously I have nothing to compare it to, but they were insanely easy to work with. Really just both of these books were just really easy to create. It was a very good back and forth between us, and there was a lot of collaboration. It was very pleasurable, because I've heard since then, I've talked to other authors and with other companies, not so great.
Right.
But,
now, were you once a meat eater?
Oh yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think most people most people were once, and maybe still aren't meat eaters. But
Can you talk about those dark days, or what made you come over to the light?
The light, yes. It was actually just an experiment. I started working for the company that I'm working for now. I'm the executive chef at Veg and Out. We're a vegan delivery service in Los Angeles. We service Southern California as well. And I had started working there, and I was in a bad way. I was really overweight. And now I'm only moderately overweight.
Can we say how much?
Yes, I was about 260 pounds, and I had lots of other bad habits, smoking cigarettes, all this. So I wanted to get healthier. I thought, hey, I'm working for this vegan company. I have access to the food. I can cook for myself. Let me try it for a month. So I was vegan for a month, and at the end of the month, I felt better. I had lost a few pounds. I had a little more energy. I thought, let's see what 2 months does. 2 months, 3 months. After 10 months, I had dropped about 60 pounds. I felt like I was, 18 again, which I hadn't felt in a long time. College took its toll, to be honest.
Right.
So
all those pizzas.
I lived next door to a pizzeria, and it was breakfast and lunch and dinner.
That's a deadly combination.
It is, yeah, pizza and beer.
And college.
It did some problems, yeah.
Right.
But
So you were working at this restaurant. You lost this weight.
Yes.
And then, how did you get from there to, writing, saying, I'm going to write about this, or?
Well, I got to. It was just from shortly after I became vegan is when I started doing the videos. So that was as I was doing the videos, I was getting emails from people who wanted me to keep going. I was
sharing it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good idea. I lost all this weight, and you wanted to tell people about it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, basically, yeah. So, and it's still an ongoing process.
So you wrote the first book, and
Yeah.
then, but I know the newest book. You said I read that your wife kind of came home. She had a hard week.
It was the end of the week. It
Yeah.
was a Friday, and I do all the cooking at home. She's very lucky.
Yeah,
and
she is.
and she and I it was the
That's
end
why
of the,
you're the sexy vegan.
Exactly. It's certainly not because of my looks or my physique.
Well, Oh,
we have one taker.
We have we have a lot of women in the studio.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, we're
Very good audience.
You know.
Yes, I was out of stuff.
Yeah.
My pantry was basically empty, so I didn't have food. I knew she was coming home. I get home earlier, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take these little, this can of beans and this, leftover zucchini or whatever, and just make some small plates. And then we sat down on the balcony, had some wine, and just kind of chilled out. And I thought, hey, this is pretty nice. So I did it the next week, and it just sort of became this tradition. Every Friday, I'd come home, I'd make just these little small plates, and instead of a big meal, and we just sit and chill out on the balcony. So she then started telling her friends about it, and then they were like, well, where's our invitation to this extravaganza? So then what went from like this nice little romantic, hey, me and the girlfriend, the wife, fiance, sitting on the balcony, became more of a job for me now, because now I have to, have more people over, and now I have a job. So then I just started doing it more, and we actually like had this reservation book, because we were like, okay, Brandon and Stephanie are coming over this Friday, and Robert and Jen are coming over next Friday. So we started, having to schedule our friends, and it just became this thing. And then when New World Library said, hey, we like the way your first book sold, do you have any other ideas? At first, I didn't really have ideas. And then I said, yes, of course I have ideas. And then I had to go make some ideas up.
You always tell the editor you do have ideas.
Yes, and then I had to go make them up real fast.
Exactly.
But then I was like, hey, I've been doing this happy hour thing. Do you think this would be a good book? And they said yes.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like reverse engineering,
Almost, yeah, it is, yeah.
So, getting back to the pros and cons of being a vegan. I mean, the concept that people have, as you probably know, like let's talk to the meat eaters out there, okay?
Right.
So the concept that people have is vegan food is not much fun.
Right.
It's
not really diverse.
Right.
It's bland.
It's kind of bland.
Sticks and leaves and stuff like rabbits would
exactly.
eat. Yeah. Well, it's not that. I can definitely tell you it's not
That's
that. There's
not true.
2 books right here that among many other cookbooks that are out there that disprove that for sure.
So what is vegan food like?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, it's beans, it's grains, it's every vegetable you can imagine. Like when you become vegan, you have to get creative. You're forced to get creative. You have to go beyond just like steak and potatoes and soggy asparagus. You or canned asparagus or something. You're forced to learn about new stuff. Like I didn't know what a kohlrabi was. I thought kale was the stuff that's under my potato salad, that I threw away. So you really start to learn about new vegetables and new grains. Like I never heard of quinoa. I don't think I'd consumed a bean until I moved to California. So just it forces you to learn new stuff, and now you have this whole it's a rainbow of stuff that you can eat, and even if you're not vegan, just by trying out a new vegetable every week that you never had before, just learn a couple recipes with it. Soon you'll start to take a little more pride in now you're learning stuff, you're cooking your own things, you're learning this. You tell your friends, hey, I cooked with a kohlrabi, you're never gonna believe it.
Well, and I think that's a fear. Here's a kohlrabi fear that I think people might have.
Right.
Is it's like, well, what do you do? Do you boil it, or it's like how do you make it taste good? You can
roast it. You can add it into a soup, and it could be like part of a pureed soup. It's just it could be like a mashed or a puree type thing. So you can do lots of different things with that, and with many other root vegetables and stuff like that.
So does it take time to prepare vegan food?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Actually, specifically in this book, it's designed to be fast. Because you don't want to be hanging in the kitchen while everybody's getting drunk on the patio. So it does say potent cocktails on the cover here. So
you're allowed cocktails?
Oh, yes. You're encouraged cocktails.
Okay.
But
some people are going to go like, I need a cocktail to get through this. But
Sure. Yeah, but it's what you make it. Like if you plan ahead, there's also in this book there's these efficiency tips that tell you how to best utilize your time in the kitchen. So it's really time management in the kitchen will make your go of it a little bit easier, a lot easier.
You can throw this together pretty fast.
Yeah, most of these recipes are just put in menus. So there's like three recipes of small plates to a menu, and it should take around an hour and then you're good to go. So it does not take time. A lasagna takes time, but like a lot of most meals I whip up are like 30, 40 minutes, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the second book is kind of like the happy hour type, kind of snack type food,
Right,
sort of,
small
right?
plates, kind of like tapas.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
recent book, the one just.
That's yes. I
Do you want
yeah.
to hold up?
Yes, sure. So what I've got here. Trying
And
to
be
talk
sure
into
to
the
feed my producer.
I
because
know. She's struggling over there. I
Yeah.
could tell she needs it. So this is a stuffed date sort of. Yeah. So yeah, it's a medjool
looks
date.
beautiful.
Yes, and it you take the pit out, and then you take a strip of just with a vegetable peeler on a cucumber, long cucumber.
Oh,
You do that, and then you have this big ribbon. You wrap that around an almond is in there,
oh,
and then you stuff that in where the pit used to be, and then I put a little smoked sea salt on top.
Huh.
And it's got all this great. It's got sweetness, it's got texture, it's got saltiness, smokiness, crunch, and fresh, like this fresh bite with the cucumber. So it's really like this great bite. And so this is part of a menu that also has samosa pizzas and these different chutneys and some Indian spice nuts. So that would be a happy hour. It would be samosa pizzas, spice nuts, and this would be like sort of your dessert.
and that looks beautiful. And that's
Thank you.
actually a
Would you like
cucumber,
to
right?
Eat it? Yeah, it's a
Wasn't it-
cucumber.
After the show,
Yes,
I will.
after the
But
show, yeah.
yeah.
So it's a cucumber wrapped. It's thinly sliced cucumber wrapped around an almond, stuffed into a date, sprinkled with smoked salt.
Yeah.
So-
Well, that does look good.
Thank you. That was the idea.
So and then after you'd gotten into this for a while,
Mhm.
I hear that you had a spider moment. What was your spider moment?
Yeah, so that's when everything sort of came together as far as the idea of being vegan and of living a vegan lifestyle where you do no harm or do as little harm as possible. So I was sitting in my apartment. I had been vegan for maybe about a year. It was in that 10 to 12 months period. And you can't, like, when you're vegan and you're just looking up vegan stuff and recipes and whatever, you can't help but come across the ethical aspect of veganism as well. So I was sitting there in my apartment, spiders walking across the floor, and normally my first instinct would be go step on it, and then it's just without even thinking, I went and got a cup, I got a piece of paper, did that thing, trapped the spider, put it outside, and as I'm putting it outside, my roommate walks in. He's like, what are you doing here? What is this? I said, I don't know, but I guess I don't kill spiders now anymore either. Like I didn't even think about it. And then I sat down, I was like, why did I do that? And I really just felt like that spider was just going about its day. It didn't know it was encroaching on my turf. And then I thought, well, maybe we don't know what we are exactly. Maybe we're just spiders who didn't get stepped on yet because the universe is quite large from what we can tell so far. So I put that onto the spider. I was like, this spider's just walking around. He's not trying to hurt me, so I'm going to let him go.
Do you feel like something inside you had changed, your attitude? And did this come from the vegan?
Oh, most definitely.
diet?
I would not have gotten there if I had not just started with that one little vegan experiment of being vegan for a month and then just, carrying that on. And like I said, by nature of just searching vegan things and being vegan, you can't help but be exposed to animal suffering and how our food gets to us and just how what you do affects the earth, basically. So that's how I came to that spider moment, as you say. I had that, I had seen everything and how I'm connected to it because I started eating healthy.
So-
It started for health reasons, but I continue to be vegan for the ethical reasons.
Right, so it can
and
actually make
environmental.
profound changes in some people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it made many physical changes, mental changes. I just had started to have clearer thoughts. People said, "Man, the eyes of your whites of your eyes got whiter." There were just all these physical changes, mental changes, and just perspective changes. Yeah,
Now you said something that I thought was funny. Your first child is on the way, right?
that is correct.
And you said, well, of course, you want them to be vegan.
Right,
Right.
yes, I
right.
do.
But then you talked about teenage rebellion. I'll show you. I'll eat meat.
Right. Well,
And I was thinking, like, well, if that's the worst that happens,
okay,
but that's
true.
funny.
Yeah, it's not crack. So
Yeah,
that
right.
that would be. I wouldn't be happy about it, but if it's not crack or heroin, that would be good too.
It could still be a disaster, though.
Yeah, it could be. But so yeah, my goal is to try and figure out like when to tell them about certain stuff, like when to give them the right information at the right time.
When to tell them about the fruits and the vegetables.
Right. Or or when to, just do it at the right way so that you don't create a rebellion. So, we had considered even decorating the nursery with fruit and vegetables and stuff.
Right.
And then I said to my wife, I was like, well, what if they think like, oh no, I can't eat vegetables, they're my friends.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to eat my friends, and then that would be really bad. So we're going with robots.
Yeah.
But
Can't win.
yeah, so you can't win. So I didn't want them to think that vegetables were their friends because I want them to eat vegetables. But yeah, it's I have no idea. I've talked to other people. They say I didn't have a plan. I said great, because I don't have a plan either.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna take it as it comes.
It's going to be like worrying, like, did they sneak out for a Coke?
Right. And that
not for Coke, but
right.
for a Coke.
Right. But I mean, that's gonna happen. They're gonna be at a party, and someone's gonna give them a piece of cake, and they're gonna eat it.
Right.
Handling that is my and my wife's challenge, is to handle that properly, to make sure that they know, what that entails or what that implies by eating that piece of cake. Yeah.
Well, you'll have to come back and report to us.
I will. I'll see you next year.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Just go to thesexyvegan.com, and that's where you'll find links to where you can buy the books, all of my social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. I post tons of food pics and all of that. So thesexyvegan.com, you'll get all you need.
And you should check out Brian's YouTube videos, especially his book trailer, which is really funny.
Thank you very much.
How'd
Yeah.
you get that helicopter at the end? What was
that was an app on the phone. It's called Action Movie app or something.
Really?
Yeah, and it does explosions. Like I could blow up my dog. You could do all kinds. You just take a video of someone and you blow them up. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yes, it's really great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, stay with us, because coming up we have Debbi Dachinger with us, and she has written Wisdom to Success, the Surefire Secrets to Accomplish All Your Goals. And there's a lot of self-help books out there, and we're going to find out why hers is different and why it really works. So this is the Book Beat. Stay tuned. We're here on LA.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Romy Klinger.
This is Rose Garcia.
And we are inviting you to join us for the Romy and Rose Show every Friday at 4 p.m. Tune in for the Romy and Rose Show. We're going to be talking about pop culture, dating, business 101, what's ratchet, what's not ratchet, and music and so much more. So don't forget, tune in to the Romy and Rose Show. About to get real.
Exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality show handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
We're real talk.
I'm so sorry. Dachinger, right. And it's Dachinger. And the name of her book is Wisdom to Success, The Surefire Secrets to Accomplish All Your Dreams. Okay. So, you're a goal achievement expert, right?
Yes.
That's an interesting brand. And I'm reading from what you said in your promotional material. You teach practical and spiritual techniques to achieve your dreams and your goals. And of course, you know, there's so many self-help books that are based on, various ways to turn dreams into reality. And so if we cut to the chase, and I'm thinking law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, lots of the various things that are around. What is unique about your system, or what's the best way you found to take a dream and actually make it into a reality that you realize or are living in your life?
Well, I basically have a recipe that I discovered myself because I deeply desired to achieve goals, and I was a very hit and miss person. But I had a lot of tenacity. Even as a child, I had a memory coming to this interview as a really little girl. I was cast in a play with a friend of mine with a lot of adults, and my friend got sick. And while she was out sick with the flu, I literally manipulated the director into casting me in the leading role. And when my friend came back from being sick, she she was suddenly in the lesser role. And not that I would replicate that behavior. I am not
But
saying
you started very early.
I started very early. And so what happened to me along the way is I just discovered this recipe that 100% works, that works on every dream. I've used it, my clients have used it, people who listen to me use it. I get a lot of amazing feedback and emails. And what it does that's different is that it handles the inside and the outside, because I really believe our outsides reflect our inside. And so it's the practical tools. We need those practical tools. We need to take action. We need to know how to do exactly what we do. But we also need to know how to deal with the obstacles that come up, generally most of which we put in our own way.
So the recipe is then?
It's a 5-step recipe. It is first decide. When you want to accomplish anything in your life, you need to choose, right? And when you decide, it's not a wishy-washy thing. It's 100% both feet in.
So this is kind of like set your intention.
Yes, but I don't even think of it so much like that. I think that comes about, the intention does come about, and the attention comes about from that. But it really is that I am going to do this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. I'm not even sure how it's going to come into my life, but I know I'm going to do this. I desire this.
I see. So that's really like you make that decision. Right?
Yes. And desire and decide. And then the second thing is you need to figure out, if I'm here and my dream is there, what's between us. And it's actually a reverse, like the law of reversibility. You want to start where you are and work your way back. So what would it take going backward to figure out how to get where you are right now? And once you do that, you must, of course, take out that sheet every day. That's your action steps. It's your treasure map to get you where you want to go. And so you have to actually take those steps, decide which one you're going to do, cross it off, and keep moving forward. Things are going to happen as you are on the path. They do to most of us. Now, some dreams are just easier. Some are a bigger thing to bite off and chew. So when you have those obstacles, something occurs that you didn't anticipate, or things are not going quite as you thought, or perhaps fear comes up and doubt, what you want to do is have an arsenal. And I call that the heal and deal section. And that's when you really have to take a pause and say, I need to assess what's going on, and I need to either start making a left because I keep making a right and it's not working out, or decide what am I bringing to this party, or there's some kind of pattern that actually shows up everywhere in my life and I'm not stopping long enough to take care of it. So you heal and deal.
Now, is that step 3 or are we still in step 2?
We are in step 3.
That's step 3. So just going back to step 2 for a minute.
Yes.
So if I look at what's between me and my dream, should I write? Is this a thing where maybe writing down would help with the obstacles I see, or
100%? Oh, the obstacles. Well, that's actually a very interesting question. Nobody's
that
ever asked me
focusing
that
on me?
before. I would say if that is something that you'd like to put in your arsenal, you absolutely can. If you already know this is what occurs for me all the time, then yes. And then you decide if you need to go somewhere and get additional help or if that's something you can handle. And I also want to say about the number 3, about the heal and deal, because number 2 literally is just writing action steps.
Oh, it's writing action steps.
That's
like,
all
what do
it
I have to do
is.
to get to it, right?
Literally.
Okay.
To get me from here to there, what needs to occur for this dream to happen?
I see.
Don't let the idea of thinking that you need to know it all hang you up. You don't. You just don't. You do your best in writing that out, and things will come up because you don't know what you don't know. You've never achieved this goal. You've never lived in that space before. It's an adventure. Let it be an adventure.
And
You don't have
sometimes
to
you don't
control
know
it
the
all.
hows, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. And I also want to express this idea that if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And some people have this sense that when a challenge comes about, they really want to back off. It's not comfortable. But we can find a new way of feeling comfort with that and saying, you know, this challenge is here for a reason. I need to grow. I need to see what's happening here. And once I do, you really will be changed from the journey.
I think sometimes when we face a challenge, we can either contract or expand.
Yes.
And so you're saying expansion is always a possibility, right? You want to embrace that, right?
Fight or flight. So, you know, if you do what you usually do, it could either be that you run away from the situation, or it could be that you stay in the arena and you're trying to take something on. But what if instead that you just sort of make friends with what's happening? There are people that I have spoken to when I've done speaking engagements, and I've done whole talks on just failure. Don't let failure inform you that you are a failure. Failure actually means something just happened that was a failure. And there's a lot of information and edification within that. And just take the lessons that are learned, learn from it, be resilient, pick up, and go on.
Well, you know, and actually this was one of your questions. What do you say to people, though, who have had a lot of failures and they do sort of tend at this point to be stuck in that image of themselves? Because, you know, we can say like, well, pick up and go on. Yeah, but some people just kind of assess their failures and they go like, I don't know, you know, just there's some reason just it doesn't work out for me. So what do you say to them?
Well, there are some people who, for failure, it can actually become a story. And they feel that that is their story. My story is just that I fail all the time, but it's not.
So see it as a story, right?
Absolutely, because we're authors of our life. So you can rewrite that story and say, okay, I had some failures, but I don't have to align myself with that idea of myself. I'm so much bigger than that. You know, when I take a very challenging exercise class, and my head's always going while I'm exercising because it's very difficult for me physically, and I'm sweating, and I hear that teacher saying, yes, you can. I hear that teacher saying, you can do more than you think you can. And she's right. And every time I hear her say that, I am amazed at what I can breathe through. And it's like that with a dream and a goal. It's like that with our perception of failure or fear or anything else, that we can either align and we can sort of crap out on ourselves, or we can have that little cheerleader and say, you know, you can do more than you think you can. And so really failure, just rethink it, re-envision it, and make it okay. Make it okay to fail so that you'll jump more, you'll do more. Go get that haircut, go do that balloon ride, go take a dance class, go travel. It is amazing the resistance we put up in our own space in order to not do things, in order to not live a full life, when in fact we desire that.
It's all about resistance, isn't it?
It truly is. And that's the funny thing is we think it's all out there, but when we really feel into what's going on, it's us. It's us actually telling our own selves, maybe you should pull back. Maybe this won't quite happen.
So what made you so passionate about this? Did you have a point in your life where things weren't working and you had to find some solutions?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when I was 18, I just knew I wanted to live in California. So this is my very hit and miss period of my life. I was from New York. I wanted to live in California. I didn't know how to get out here, but here's that sort of wild fierceness or tenacity. I just started to explore colleges, I didn't know from USC, but they accepted me. I went to performing arts school, and that's how I landed here. But what happened was I got on the plane and I fell apart. I got to California and initially fell apart. So everything I teach now, that doesn't have to happen. I would never have to go through that. What I had was this ability to say, I really want that, and to somehow make it work. But what I didn't have was the ability or the understanding to research how to go about it, how to care for myself along the way so that it was the best possible path imaginable. So I would say also I was an actress and a singer for most of my life, and that had some of the same elements. There was a lot of very nice success and a lot of very interesting periods. But, interestingly enough, it wasn't so much rejection out here. It was what I put here for myself. So I just learned. I literally learned, and I worked with some very amazing masters over time. And I was a sponge because this subject was something that called to me. So if you told me that I would become a goal achievement expert, I would have never believed it. But here I am, and best-selling books, and it's been an amazing journey.
Well, going back, so step 3 is heal and deal. Is that, or deal and heal? What was it?
Heal and deal.
Heal and
yes.
deal. Okay, and that's the step where you deal with the obstacles, or?
It's the step where you deal with the obstacles. Exactly.
Okay.
So it's about not running away. It's also about not empowering the obstacles anymore. Because there also comes a time, there certainly did for me, because fear was mine. And I recognized how I empowered fear. I could have just been genuflecting to fear. Put it on a chair. It was my God. Whatever it said, I believed.
Really?
It was very powerful for me.
How did you turn that around?
I realized at a certain point I could heal so much. And then the part that became the deal was that I'm going to do this anyway. So thanks for sharing.
You said to that part of yourself.
Yes. Yes, I really appreciate that. Somewhere I created you probably to take care of myself, to protect me, but you're really not serving me anymore. In fact, you're an incredible obstacle for me to be the fullness of who I came here to be. So thank you so much, but there is my back, there is my hand, and maybe you could share another time or not. What has happened is I would go out, I would achieve my dream, and I would look back and think, I cannot believe I was so afraid. How silly. This is not only awesome, this is more magnificent than I dreamed. And I keep proving to myself really how capable I am. And so the fear started to diminish because it started to lose its essence, its power. I mean, you could virtually take fear actually and turn it into excitement, which is what I believe it really is.
Yeah. And we get so used to our fears, don't we? We kind of hold on to them and accept those limitations. So you're saying that when you stepped beyond it, did you look back and go like, that wasn't such a big thing, or big, is that
over and over and over again? Yes.
Interesting.
With every dream.
Wow. And then what's step 4?
Step 4 is that you must keep moving forward. Okay. So if you've got your sheet, the whole idea is that's your calendar. That's the thing. I think there's 1,440 minutes in every day. You can use 20 of them every day to take an action step towards your dream.
When you put it like that, it sounds really doable, because sometimes I go like, I don't know if I've got 15 minutes to meditate, but you're right. There's 1,000, how many?
1,440.
Okay, that's good to know. And step 5?
And step 5 is that when you get where you have chosen to be, your dream come true, celebrate. We hear that, right? But we really need to just step back, enjoy the view, and do something lovely for yourself that it just acknowledges. And it could be, it doesn't matter on what spectrum it is. It doesn't even have to be expensive, but allow yourself that celebration because it's a big deal.
We forget to do that, don't we?
Yes.
So your new book is that it's almost out? Has it been released yet? Or?
Yes, this is Wisdom to Success is launching officially on September 17th. So we're gearing up for that. And then this is the first book, Dare to Dream, This Life Counts.
And all the steps are outlined in Dare to Dream?
Yes. And actually what's marvelous, I'm really proud of, is that there's completely different information. And it just builds. There will be a third in the trilogy because I want to make sure that I disseminate everything. I really want, I feel like it will be a much happier place when people are doing what they feel they came here to do and having fun.
Well, I get the feeling from you that you really are living what you're teaching, and that's really nice to see. It's very inspiring. So, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Well, first of all, I would like to say New World should be checking out my YouTube channel and go to Deb on the radio, because I've got like 6 years of really fun and deep videos there. So we'll check you out. And
If you
UI.
want to go mainstream, because I coach people in books, and New World is a great company if you want to go mainstream, but there are a lot of self-published authors who really were ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said if you're doing well self-publishing.
Thank you.
You're sort of a
I have been so blessed, and I appreciate that, and I have done great. And the thing is, I'm always open. Expand. So
yeah. But New World, if you are watching,
yes, please.
Yeah. So
and
actually,
in
you will
addition,
have
go
this.
to DeborahDachinger.com. Everything's there. It's Deborah, Deborah, and Dachinger is Dachinger.com. And you can just have a party on that website.
Thank you so much for being with us. So join us next week, same time, same station, for the Book Beat. And here's your homework. I bet you didn't know there was homework with this show. So this week, find a good book if you can. And if you can't find one, start to think about maybe writing the book that you want to read yourself. And then we'll see you here next week at the Book Beat. And remember that all the shows are archived here at latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
Thank you for tuning